Hey, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Quite Frankly. It was a weekend. It was a weekend other than the one I had planned for. But it was still a good weekend, and everybody's doing well. I have a little bit of a testimonial that I have to put forward sometime. Especially when we talk about health and alternative treatments and all that stuff on this show. We had a little bit of time to experiment with Jane Barlow's stuff over the weekend, and I'll have to find some time to talk about that with little Aurora. Tried to avoid disaster, but good stuff. Anyway, I dropped in on you guys here and there, a little tiny live stream starting on Friday when we were over here doing some organizing, some painting and all that stuff. But now we are back, and it's a 7 o'clock show on Monday. It is the 21st day of July. 21st day of July. We were just saying the 1st day of July not too long ago, and we were all hopped up on excitement for the coming 4th. And now it's essentially August. But, you know, it's fun. There's a lot of fun to be had and a lot of good work to be done. You know, I'm not able to go to all the beach days like the girls are doing, but it doesn't matter because hard working weeks make for a nice, enjoyable weekend. And that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit tonight in the first half. We're going to rifle through a lot of stuff. Jay Gulinello's in. I'll introduce him in just a second. I'm sure you guys have met him before. But we are going to do a lot of stuff up in the first half, including a little bit of a pit stop with what happened with not only Stephen Colbert, but a great reckoning that is coming to late night television so-called comedy shows. And it has to be discussed just a little bit because this is a learning moment. This should be a teaching moment. Hopefully somebody takes away a nice little lesson from this. What lesson do you extract from all of this? Or do you not learn anything? We're going to talk about that. That'll be fun. I have some open-ended questions for you guys, but then there's also other news stories that we will do in just a second. Other than that, go and check out all of the wonderful guests that we have coming up. Those are listed on quitefrankly.tv. After the show tonight, we are getting together for Film Club. So for those of you out there on Patreon, Subscribestar, on Pilled, and also through Squarespace, through the website, make sure you check the members only section or your email. I published on both on Patreon, Subscribestar, or in the DMs over there if you are a monthly sponsor through Pilled.net. And that is where you're going to have your Film Club access link for tonight. We're talking about Gangs of New York. Damn. I'm going to be watching that movie a few times more, I'll tell you. Took me a long time to finally watch it all the way through. Long time. I know we do a lot of movie talk on this show, but you'd be surprised by some of what you would think to be just obvious things, obvious titles that I've seen that I haven't. And that was the first time I really just watched it from end to end. I had known all of the cultural references before then, but I can't wait to talk about that with you guys afterwards. The Culture Club is getting together at 9 p.m. But until then, let us get ourselves underway. We will be right back with Jay Gulinello and the entire evening before us.
Honestly, quite frankly, I think quite frankly, you just seem offended to be quite frankly. Like, quite frankly, I would say quite frankly, I think that quite frankly, I don't really care to be quite frankly.
Okay.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's
Hey, everybody, welcome. Hello. That was just Mr. Ed. When was the last time you said, Jay, when was the last time you saw an episode of Mr. Ed?
I don't even remember. I don't remember. It was a good show, though.
You ever see The Damn Show?
The Damn Show? I don't think so.
The Damn Show. That's where Yucko the Clown first popped up.
Why am I not familiar with this? What time period?
It had to be like late 90s, early 2000s. When was it? When the hell was it? The Damn Show.
The Damn Show.
Oh, The Damn Show since 2005?
That late? Maybe that's why I missed it.
Yeah, it seems so. Well, anyway. Oh, wait. It was created in... No, that's just Stanker Vision in general. Anyway, The Damn Show. Some raw-ass shit, man. And
that was the first year of YouTube, I think, 2005,
2005,
right?
Yeah. And they would do... What did they do? They did things like there was there's this one, I don't know what, this the reason why I'm thinking about it is because I was thinking of that one bit that they did called The Racist Mr. Ed. And it was Mr. Ed, but he was just very racist.
Oh, throwing around some slurs.
Oh, I imitate it all the time because it's just funny. But
I don't know how I missed that.
I'm not racist like the horses, though.
I know that.
It's just funny to hear.
Yeah.
It's jarring.
You can't. Because you can't do that stuff anymore today, right? 2005 might as well have been a different lifetime.
If you guys are out there, if you are savvy enough to find any bits of The Damn Show from back in the day, see if you can find The Racist Mr. Ed.
What channel was it on?
I don't think it was on TV.
Oh, so it wasn't like Adult Swim kind of thing.
I only ever saw it from like ripped VHSs.
Oh, jeez.
It was like one of those from what I saw.
Wow.
Because we were just coming up at that point. We were just getting into high school, and it was.
That reminds me of something. So my band at that time, we would rent. So Blockbuster Video was still alive and kicking at that time, and we had this thing that we would do. We would go in a Blockbuster Video, and when we wanted to pick what we wanted to watch on a Friday or Saturday night after rehearsal, we would go to a section, and we would go to the bottom row, the far right. And that was the movie we would pick, whatever was in the lower right-hand corner, because I always rotated things. And so we found some great, really terrible horror movies. Actually, somebody at your Christmas party knew a horror movie that we found using that method. It was called, the movie was called Don't Look in the Basement. And it was one of those terrible, cheesy horror movies.
Was it always the bottom right corner that you would go to?
Yes. Yeah, that's how we did it. And then we found this set of movies called Moron Movies. I mean, I barely remember it. I'm trying to like recall it right now. And I feel like it was a guy with a camcorder just filming the stupidest things him and his older friends did. Somehow it ended up in Blockbuster Video. I don't know how. I mean, it was like that low budget kind of stuff. And it was called Moron Movies. And it was like Moron Movies 1, 2, 3. And wow. So that's when you mentioned The Damn Show, I thought Moron Movies, and it's probably very similar.
Listen, I mean, this was some of it was hard to watch.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like Yucko the Clown is ruthless. You remember Yucko, right?
No, I have no recollection of any of this.
This is before he started making appearances on Howard Stern and stuff like that. Like he just man on the street stuff, but he's just ruining people's days. And I don't know. We'll see what I can find.
We're
after
already
the show.
off track, Frank. You told me I got to keep us on the rails today.
I know that's my fault. That's quite frankly for you. Hey, I have a couple of things real quick. Did you hear about the Long Island man that was killed in the MRI machine?
No.
Well, listen to this ridiculous story. It left somebody dead, but listen to this. This guy killed in an MRI machine. He was wearing this is not a typo.
What?
A 20-pound necklace with a padlock on it.
How'd they let him in the MRI machine with that?
Apparently, there he is, 20 pounds. I don't know what he was wearing around his neck.
Holy mackerel.
With a padlock. The Long Island man who was killed in a freak MRI machine accident was sporting a staggering 20-pound chain adorned with a padlock at the time. He died after suffering several heart attacks following the bizarre incident. Now, what happened? His wife, Adrian.
Is that his wife?
I guess so.
Okay.
She was undergoing a routine knee scan of the MRI machine. He said that McAllister would typically enter the exam room to help her get back on her feet near the end of the appointments and never had an issue before the deadly incident, probably because he didn't have a 20-pound weight around his neck. McAllister had taken to wearing a hulking 20-pound necklace as part of his weight training.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, do you know how heavy 20 pounds is?
Yeah,
it's
but
not a necklace.
That's ridiculous
No,
to
it is
wear
ridiculous.
I'm wearing it to the MRI place or any place.
Okay, keep going.
Anyway,
This
let's
is
see.
fascinating.
That was not the first time the guy they have seen that chain. They had a conversation about it before. When McAllister entered the room with the technician, the machine suddenly switched him around and pulled him in.
Oh, so okay, I had a completely different understanding of this. Okay, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jones McAllister and the technician tried in vain to pry McAllister off of the machine while she pleaded all the while for someone to turn it off.
My God.
I was saying, turn off the machine, call 911, do something. Turn this damn thing off. Then when the MRI machines are on, they create a strong magnetic field that attracts metal objects like the chain. And that was it.
I thought he was wearing it and some idiot tech let him go in. I'm like, there's no tech dumb enough to let a guy go into the MRI machine. So he was just going into the room. Wow.
Just took it upon himself.
That is that's the definition of a freak accident.
First of all, I wouldn't even enter the building with that thing on.
I wouldn't leave the house with a 20-pound weight.
It's one thing. Well, it's one of those things. Say, hey, listen, I'm going for a walk. I'm putting on a rucksack.
Oh yeah, well that's
whatever. But I'm not going anywhere near a building that houses magnets. Anywhere, whether it's Acme, like some Acme warehouse.
The M in MRI is magnetic.
God,
well, I'm sorry. I mean, I don't mean to laugh because it's not funny. It's tragic.
It's bizarre.
It is bizarre.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No video?
No,
Okay.
I don't want to see that shit.
All right.
Anyway, but here are some. There are some good news over here. I saw this doctor who faced 35 years for giving saline shots instead of the COVID vaccine has now been fully acquitted.
Yeah.
Fully acquitted. And here's a little bit more of it from The Guardian. DOJ drops charges against Utah doctor accused of destroying COVID vaccines. Michael Kirk Moore accused of distributing at least 1,937 false vaccination cards and administering saline to children. The U.S. Department of Justice dropped charges on Saturday against him. The Utah doctor accused of destroying more than $28,000 worth of government-provided COVID-19 vaccines. He's a hero.
I mean, it's
Absolute hero.
You mean taxpayer funded?
Yeah. He's an absolute hero.
Yeah.
Because let's see, according to a 2023 press release, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Utah, Moore distributed at least 1,937 fraudulent vaccination record cards in exchange for either direct payment or required donations to a specific charity. The minors the minors he gave saline shots to were under the impression, at the request of their parents, that they were receiving a COVID-19 shot. Moore ran the operation from a plastic surgery center in Midvale, Utah, and was charged, along with 3 other co-defendants, with conspiracy to defraud the United States, which is in turn defrauding its citizens. So it's just like, fuck you all.
Wow.
Listen.
Look, man.
He made a little bit of money on the side, but he saved lives, if you ask me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I know it's a little complicated. I wonder if the question I had was, did the parents think the children were being vaccinated against COVID?
Probably.
Yeah, so that's...
Probably.
Look, I mean, he did save lives, for sure, but it's interesting. It's an interesting quandary, right?
It is, because you want to talk about informed consent.
Exactly.
I mean, I look at that and I say, these were the least, this demographic was the least affected, and they were fine. Doubt, yeah. They would have been and were fine.
I was thinking it would have been people like myself, who, if I had wanted to play the game, now I made an intentional decision not to play the game because I knew that was a slippery slope. Today I find my way around it, but I don't stand up to fight, and then tomorrow I can't find my way around it, right? Like, at some point you've got to stand up to that kind of tyranny, but my thinking was that was what was going on, that people were looking for someone to give them the saline injection, give them the pass, discard the evidence, and then move on with life. I didn't understand quite the full extent of the story, but it's a little bit more complicated than I thought, but I still think I agree with you. I think he's a hero. He saved a lot of lives.
Yeah, he did. Hey, you know what? Before we go any further, you and I, last time we were together, we were talking to Natalie from Dulce.
Mm-hmm.
Natalie wanted everybody to know she will be back on the show at some point because there's so much more to talk to her about just in her life alone. In fact, I found something I got to show you in just a second. Natalie from Dulce, that's dulcelife.com. They're one of our big sponsors for the Jamboree in September. She wanted to let everybody know that 20% off your first purchase, the The promo code is Sugar Sucks. All one word, capitals, SUGARSUCKS. Sugar Sucks. That's
all right.
And that promo code is going to be live for 2 weeks. So
I'm going to use the supply that you so graciously gave me to go try some marshmallows.
give it a shot.
Do a little experimenting.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
It'll be part of our charcuterie board over here
Yeah, absolutely.
on the VIP night.
Got to have dessert.
Hey, now there's a diagnosis. We're talking about President Trump here. Did you see his diagnosis?
It's briefly.
Okay, so this was on Friday, I think. An echocardiogram was performed and confirmed normal cardiac structure and function. No sign of heart failure, renal impairment, or systemic illness were identified in the president, but he was diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency following reports of swelling in his legs, per Carolyn Levitt. Luckily, it's nothing serious, they say. I want you to hear something because, of course, whenever I hear them saying that something is in the normal range, I say, I wonder what Jay would think that the preferable range would be.
Optimal?
But, yeah, I know they don't have any. Here, listen to this.
On another note, I know that many in the media have been speculating about bruising on the president's hand and also swelling in the president's legs. So in the effort of transparency, the president wanted me to share a note from his physician with all of you today. In recent weeks, President Trump noted mild swelling in his lower legs. In keeping with routine medical care and out of an abundance of caution, this concern was thoroughly evaluated by the White House medical unit. The president underwent a comprehensive examination, including diagnostic vascular studies. Bilateral lower extremity venous Doppler ultrasounds were performed and revealed chronic venous insufficiency, a benign and common condition, particularly in individuals over the age of 70. Importantly, there was no evidence of deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease. Laboratory testing included a complete blood count, comprehensive metabolic panel, coagulation profile, D-dimer, B-type natriuretic peptide, and cardiac biomarkers. All results were within normal limits.
I wish you can take a look at the actual numbers.
I would love to do that. I would love to do that.
I wonder what normal limits means.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. You know, people say the president gets the best care around. He gets the best Western care around. So again, if he needs a surgery or if he needs a drug or if he needs, whatever, sure. But I mean, I wonder if you asked RFK what he thought about, some of those things. Again, we're trying to shift the paradigm here away from things like, it's edema, swelling, water retention. I mean, it can be kidney related. So I'd like to see his kidney numbers, which would probably be in that set of labs that she listed. But you can very easily be 1 point away in the quote normal range, and some doctors won't even say a word about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're talking about the margin of error, so it's and something that can, oscillate based on the day. So I would love to see those two. I think about that all the time whenever any major celebrity or any kind of political figure or anything, they come back with something like that. Everything looked fine. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Do you think it's time that he stops drinking Diet Coke and eating from the dollar menu?
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's probably time.
That time was it was long ago. I mean, people will always point out, well, I mean, but look at how well he does on that. And my answer is always, look at how much better he could do without it, is the answer. I mean, it's the same thing with smoking. I know that there are some people who live to 100 while smoking, but we have no idea how healthier they would be if they didn't smoke. So,
George Burns will still be alive.
It's possible.
He would still be alive. He'd be like 130 years
At least.
old.
Yeah.
130 years old right now.
The Diet Coke isn't helping him do all the, amazing things he's doing at his age. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then there's that. There's also, it's been a interesting week with the Martin Luther King stuff. I haven't read any of it yet.
I didn't either. I just kind of saw it today, actually.
And have you seen any of the Tulsi Gabbard stuff about essentially that 2015-16 Crossfire Hurricane, the entire Russia thing is Glenn Sims, everything's getting opened up? I
mean, that was Friday, and I remember thinking, man, and the words she used were serious. She did not pull any punches. Her and RFK are my shining stars from this administration. I don't know where this goes. I see a lot of people saying, oh, it's going to be a whole bunch of nothing. I'll tell you something, man. As long as I live, I will never lose my optimism. I think once you lose that, then it really is over for you. I'm not saying you should expect this or that, but if you don't have at least a little bit of, are we going to get there? Is there something that could happen? If you immediately go to cynicism, I don't know. I don't know what you're doing, So I'm like cautiously optimistic. Let's see what happens. Maybe if you're looking for a paradigm shift in anything, doesn't it first start with disclosure and truth and those kinds of things? So let's see what comes of it.
I know, but you want to know what's really gotten in his way, at least for a lot of people, is the handling of the Epstein thing.
True, for sure.
Just how that entire story developed publicly.
Yeah,
and I had I saw this tweet. I saw this tweet not this super chat that was left for me over the weekend, I guess for tonight. And it was from Leaky Orifice. And Leaky Orifice says, the crash and burn arc of the Trump 2.0 presidency is both fascinating and interesting. An unfortunate time to focus on 3 a.m. diner reminiscences. I don't think so. I actually don't think so at all. First of all, that's my show. And that's the nature of the show. If you want guarantee you're going to get the news every night. A, this is not the place to come.
Right.
Because you may not get it. But B, I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. Not just for a little while because it's stuff like this. Because I'll tell you something, Jay, there's some really interesting things happening. I mean, even the fact that regular gas around here is about a few of them around my neighborhood alone, around 305. I haven't seen it flirt with $2.99 in a long time.
And New York is bad, but I'll tell you, when I go back up to Boston, I can routinely find gas in the 270s, 260s. So it's happening.
So things are. He is collecting wins.
Yeah,
things that are objectively good, but at the same time, what the hell we just lived through the last couple of weeks has been such a. I would have much rather been strung along and allowed this to kind of air out and let people keep their heads in the games. When I voted for him again, I wasn't even thinking. We talked about this a week or two after the election. How the greatest way that we can guarantee some sort of a long-term trajectory for the culture, not necessarily for a party or anything like that, was disclosure. Because through disclosure comes individual people who see things for what it is. Maybe some people have had, get the validation and the validation for their suspicions that they've had for a long time. Perhaps many others are rudely awakened from some sort of a daydream about what they think that how the world really is. It could be about high technology. It could be about the power structure of the world, blackmail, whatever the hell it is, UFOs. It doesn't matter. This was always going to be a part of it. Who killed JFK? That was always going to be a part of it. But this was like, I don't know. It was done so sloppily, and then the language to manage it afterwards, when everybody was already completely turned off, was. I don't know.
I agree. I completely agree with you. I did not like the way it looked. I didn't like the way it felt. And I think did we talk about that? Because I was just in last week. I think we did speak about the fact that it didn't seem, or maybe it was, I can't remember if it was on or off air, but it just didn't seem to be in line with his personality or even just to make sense given what we know he knows. So I'll say something that this is not coming from me and I have no knowledge of this. I'm going to just reiterate something that Robert Barnes said. And Robert Barnes obviously knows Donald Trump, has represented Donald Trump. Something I heard him say yesterday that I had never heard before and I thought was interesting. I don't even know if I believe it, but it's a credible source and I do like Robert Barnes and he's been pretty spot on about a lot of things. He said yesterday that one of the frustrations, so Trump might be a little hot-headed and sometimes he gets frustrated. And I think you can kind of tell in his tweets over the last week that he's been frustrated just about what people are paying attention to your point. He is making a lot of gaining a lot of ground and having a lot of success that people are ignoring because obviously so many people want to understand Epstein because of the larger picture, not because of the guy himself. The guy himself is likely irrelevant. It's everything that he represents, everything that is
everything he was plugged
with
into.
him. Exactly, right? But so what Barnes said was that, one, he knew it was coming from Tulsi. And obviously that's very personal to Donald Trump because that is his original, first term. He also said he believes, and he has some knowledge of people in the sort of, deep state, or the people who would want to continue this charade or continue to derail his presidency, lied to him about what was in the Epstein files. In other words, that there was fabricated evidence linking him to all kinds of things. And we actually did see, now that I think about it, we did see a little piece of that, whether this birthday card is even real or not, right? He said there was more of that, and Trump didn't want to have
what birthday card?
Remember did you miss that over the weekend? Where Trump supposedly sent, there was like a handwritten birthday card that supposedly Trump sent to Epstein. It was in the Wall Street Journal. Oh, you took Friday off.
I haven't seen it.
Okay. So this is the thing. So when that came out and I saw that, and then I heard Robert Barnes yesterday say he was duped. He was lied to into thinking that there was more things like that in the Epstein documents. That's why he was downplaying it. That's why he was saying it's a hoax, because he didn't want to have to spend time. It's almost like another Russia kind of thing. And he's getting, extremely frustrated. Now, again, this is not coming from me. I have no idea if this is true or not. I'm just reiterating what Robert Barnes said yesterday. And Barnes is a pretty good source of information. So for what that's worth, that could explain some of the bizarre behavior from Donald Trump, because he just didn't want to have to deal with this. I don't think it looked good. And Barnes and Barris were saying, it was definitely it was a ill-fated set of truths that sort of, were lambasting his base for even paying attention to it.
Yeah.
But there could have been something more behind the scenes. And so that birthday card, I think, was maybe a small little piece of it. And now, because he's suing the Wall Street Journal over that.
Well, I'm looking at it now. I'm looking at it, whatever I can find over here. And of course, it's not, and maybe this is going to actually link into what we're going to talk about with late night television as well. But CNN's Michael Smerconish, the talking penis at CNN,
Yeah.
he casts doubt. He's the one. I have some Michael Smerconish over here. He was the one that actually gave Trump credit for all the list of wins he had, not only economically with the tariffs, but also all of the Supreme Court wins that he's been getting, and things like that. But he says here, it's actually, let's just listen to it. It's a little clip from CNN. Again, this is CNN,
right?
Saying, casting doubt on the Wall Street Journal.
It's hard to believe that the president would have written the imaginary conversation between himself and Epstein 22 years ago. I mean, listen to some of the back and forth. Jeffrey, yes, we do, come to think of it. Donald, enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? Jeffrey, as a matter of fact, it was clear to me last time I saw you. Donald, a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday. And may every day be another wonderful secret.
That does not sound like Donald Trump,
right?
That sounds like Grok wrote that.
So this is what I'm saying. So it all seemed ridiculous. Trump has sued the Wall Street Journal, claiming it's completely fabricated and ridiculous. So I think what Barnes is saying is there's more junk like this, which could cause, a legitimate struggle. And that's what Trump's reaction was, to lash out because he knew, or because he was duped, because he either found out he was duped or because he was still under the impression that these things actually existed. Whether or not they did or not, we still don't know, because the files haven't been released. So it's a gigantic
There had to have
cluster.
been if that was the case, there had to have been a better way than saying this is the entire Epstein file is a Democrat hoax, and starting to talk about past supporters and people, whatever.
Yep.
Like, well,
I agree.
Then dig in and say, look, it's full of this shit.
I agree.
Or I don't know. I don't.
This thing came out. This supposed letter came out after he started that sort of diatribe. But I completely agree with you. It wasn't handled well. But if that's the reason behind it, it does explain some of the sort of frustration and bizarre nature of Trump's behavior about Epstein, because he knows. He knows why everybody is interested in this and what it means. It's probably connected to everything else that Tulsi Gabbard just released on Friday. So anyway,
definitely.
Yeah.
This Wall Street Journal thing, now that I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
Oh, this is to cover for the Obama Tulsi drop, and wherever that goes, then great. But here's what I'm saying, and this is why I know the people who are loyal to Donald Trump to sometimes a fault. Mm-hmm. Or they stayed focused on Pam Bondi as being the biggest ditz in this entire equation. Because you know what? If there was something really wrong with this whole thing from what they were looking at, and there's the question that we've been asking about everything from JFK on downward is how much was actually saved so that some rebellious Congress and some outsider to even the slightest degree of a president could ever really open the books on something and show you how the inner gears of the clock.
Right.
Right. So it's always about what was actually saved and who actually has data of whatever operation was being run.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. But, you look at this and you say, damn, from the get-go, Pam Bondi and those fucking phase 1 binders,
yeah, it's just,
none of this. If none of that happened and it was just like mum and people were just like, what the hell's going on with Epstein? Is anybody going to poke into that? People wouldn't even be thinking about it right now because you're getting economic wins. There's some other things going on with AI that there are things that are not. It's not all roses.
No.
But at least this black cloud wouldn't be over everything.
I agree, and it kind of makes you wonder about why and when it came out. And just for full disclosure as well, Barnes is not a fan of Pam Bondi. He just thinks she's ill-equipped for the job. Not that she's bad. He doesn't think she has the legal chops, the brains, and questionable ties to pharmaceutical companies and things and lobbying and things like that in the past that just make her ill-equipped for this job. I mean, I would have wanted Matt Gaetz if I had my choice of sort of pit bulls in that position. So but again,
after Matt Gaetz was drawn back, I started really just pulling. I just started reining myself in with what we were going to get about things like this.
Yeah.
Like it's not that I don't want to see the entire thing come down.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I'm one guy,
and I hope
maybe we all share the same opinions, but our opinions don't result in things happening.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, I was happy to see what happened on Friday, and it's been turned over to the DOJ. So let's see what happens.
Yeah,
we could all use that kind of a win because that something that big could erase the stumbling around of the Epstein thing because I'm sure that it's connected. So.
Well, I mean, it's in every comment section. Anything that is objectively good that happens, if they start knocking on the door of Russiagate and who was doing what, every comment section is like, "Oh, that's nice. Now do Epstein." The entire it's like, listen, what are we gonna do? They shot themselves in every toe has been blown off. So it's nuts.
I know.
Anyway, okay, so well, on that, I saw this. He is. I saw this video that he released of Obama getting arrested while the YMCA song plays.
It's so funny.
It is hilarious.
It's
I like.
so
Hold
funny.
on. Let's
No
see.
one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law. No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
Oh, son of a bitch.
He's just smiling like this shit-eating grin. He looks like the Joker.
I love how Obama is made forced to the ground. He wasn't even allowed to stand up.
Oh God, it's so funny.
There's no need to feel down. I said, young man.
He's struggling now. I love the struggle.
Jump off the ground. I said, young man. 'Cause you're in a new town.
He looks like he's about to throw up.
It's so good. AI is crazy.
Oh, it's only going to get worse.
I know. Just wait till one of you or me are up there.
I mean,
I was taken aback already by the fat pictures of me. I was offended by the garbage pail version of Jay. I
gotta post that on.
No, you don't.
On Instagram.
No, you don't.
I love that picture. There's something so I don't know.
Damn it!
You can just tell that you've been. There's a
Defeated.
defeat. There's a defeat in your eyes. Like
Definitely.
Everything you stood for is gone. But at the same time, you are 100% committed to eating the burger and drinking the beer. You're gonna do it.
It's over.
Yep.
Just give in.
So that's that. All right. Well, I don't know where it all goes, but maybe we can tack it on to this. Now here we have the New York Post. It's not just Colbert whose show was canceled. It's over. Stephen Colbert, it's over.
I'm so happy to hear this. I mean, I never delight in people's misery, but this guy has been overpaid for who knows how long. He's such a loser and a useless human being. I'm just happy. He'll be on a CNN panel soon enough. Don't worry.
Yeah.
about
Oh no, don't worry about it. He'll
Yeah.
be back on. He'll have a show on Comedy Central soon. Network late night TV is dead in general. This is by Josh Olinsky. Everyone was shocked when Stephen Colbert announced this week that CBS canceled The Late Show. The despondent media reacted like a meteor was about to smash into Earth, but how surprising was Colbert's kibosh, really? Did people's jaws also hit the floor when Blockbuster Video called it quits in 2014? They were muffling their screams when blimps were phased out for air travel in 1937. What the hell are those asses?
Yeah, they look like
Are those ass
they
candles?
look like, are they? I don't know what those are. That's bizarre. No sugar challenge. Oh, are they saying if you
Get out of the way, Donald.
if you
What the hell is this?
is this what sugar does to you over the years if you eat that? Whoa.
Yeah, but it's an ass candle. I'll take.
It is. I guess they didn't want to show real ass. It's much safer to show an ass candle.
Don't worry, we'll take
I hope
this.
it doesn't smell like an ass.
I don't know. You know, it's like can't be like one of those Gwyneth Paltrow. Oh my gosh.
Wow. Whoa. What's the 65 plus one?
I don't know. I can't even get it in frame. It's so gigantic.
Wow.
Anyway,
The zoom is too big.
the hell is this turned into?
Oh dear.
Okay. Anyway,
Back to reality.
it's not only Colbert. The Grim Reaper is coming for all late night TV. Those comedians in neckties are just ignoring death's deafening knock. The retro programs, which began in the 1950s as an experiment to fill time, have far too tiny a viewership to justify their exorbitant costs anymore. The Post reported Friday that Colbert's talk show was losing $40 to $50 million a year. And it was $40 to $50 million a year. Some people said that he makes the show generates about $70 million in ad revenue, but it costs over $100 million to make.
Oh.
$100 million production.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm sure that dancing vaccine skit was $100 million in and of itself.
It's what I'm saying. The Times watered down those figures to a mere tens of millions. That's what they said. Awfully hard to blame Trump for that. True.
He's so pathetic. The man is so pathetic. He can't even accept his own irrelevance, his own lack of talent. Maybe it's not even lack of talent, but you know why? Frank, I know you want to go off on this, but I'll just start by saying it's not that the medium itself is dead or that late night comedy is dead. You have alienated a majority, now we know, a majority of the country with your political hackery. You're not entertaining people anymore. You're red meating your pathetic little base. And I'm not even sure it's the whole base of the Democrat Party or the left. I think it's even a smaller subsection of those people who just want that stuff constantly. Maybe, I don't know, at the end of the day, when you just want to sit down and enjoy a laugh, you don't, even if you are a lefty, you don't want to be beat over the head with all the politics you were ranting and raving about on X earlier in the day. Maybe even you just want to laugh. And these people won't let you.
My question is, when did they? What you can't tell me that this hasn't been the case for years already.
It has definitely.
So
been the case
is it just that they can't take it anymore, and they finally, what is it? Because, okay, for example, it says over here, The Late Show was beating the competition with 2.42 million regular nightly viewers on average, just during the first quarter. But just 9% of those eyeballs were in the 18 to 49 demo that advertisers covet.
Of course.
Okay, so that means that 91% of their viewership is 50 and older.
They have those big asses.
Yes. Yes. So that means no ad dollars because young people they don't give a shit.
Right.
Now, why would they? Because they got YouTube and TikTok and everything else like that. And this is where I wanted to pop the question with people. We'll get to it in just a second. Now, you'd think that seeing late night shows die on the vine of networks that are totally in line with the host politics, okay, that would be another wake-up call for the progressives out there. But instead, what I'm largely seeing is that they have created this hallucination of authoritarian censorship narratives. That is, they're trying to explain what is otherwise a logical business failure. Something that never made sense for, we kept saying, wait, I understand that putting money into these networks, knowing that you have that platform, and then from there you can disseminate smaller clips. It could just be, I don't know, whatever. It's state media. Where did all the money come from? I wonder if reliable sources of corporate welfare for them have just gone away now.
Yeah.
Something to kind of like to kind of make the loss even out, just so that they can keep the thing going. I wonder about that a lot, and there's more questions I have along the way. But now, first I'll go to Jamie Lee Curtis, the yogurt lady. She says they're trying.
Oh, I thought that was the same person.
I know. They're all the same. It's
yeah,
all
they
the
really
same.
all are.
If you're a liberal man, you live long enough to become a liberal woman. They're trying.
That's a good one.
They're trying to silence people, but that won't work. It just won't work. We will just get louder. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
There's nothing else to say. What are you talking about? What? You're right. They've created, boogeymen where there aren't boogeymen, and they own the censorship machine. So I don't even. It's like they're living on another planet.
They
truly.
are. They are.
Wow.
Yeah, we're just gonna get louder.
Can you get a side by side of Colbert, Jamie Lee Curtis, Rachel Maddow, and Chris Hayes from CNN? Can somebody put those four in a?
I always.
What do they call that? A four by?
I always call.
Please?
I always call Chris Hayes officially male Rachel Maddow.
Yeah.
And Rachel Maddow is officially female Chris Hayes.
Wow. They look a lot alike.
It's just a costume, man.
It is.
It's a costume.
It must give them credibility in that hive.
You got it. And now here is a little bit more. Now you want to talk about a little bit from, here's a voice from another demo, Charlemagne from the Breakfast Club. Mm-hmm. He really put his IQ to the test with this assessment. Listen to this.
Let's call it what it is. Paramount is looking for FCC approval for its Skydance merger. Trump can block that if he wants to. So canceling Colbert is an obvious move to appease Donald Trump. And I need to tell y'all something. If you don't think we are under a regime with an authoritarian strategy, then you are bugging. This is textbook authoritarian rule. Target your critic, centralize power in a few hands, intimidate through punishment or removal. And you know what that usually does? Shuts people to F.
Or, losing $50 million a year.
What a doofus.
They're so stupid.
And where were you the last 4 years, you goofball?
They're so stupid.
Oh, my God.
Oh, he was giving platforms to people who said, if you don't vote for me, you're not black.
What a walnut brain.
That's what he was doing.
Useless.
Oh, no, seriously. No, they're completely ridiculous. Wow. They're all so stupid. And now, and I was saying, again.
And wait, they're giving him till 2026. I think the merger, if you wanted to make it palatable for the merger to go through, wouldn't you axe it right now? He has through 2026, I think, or sometime in 2026. So that doesn't even make sense. Whatever.
$70 million in revenue with over $100 million in production costs, multiplied by, like what you said, Colbert splitting away at least 50% of the audience with unfunny political group therapy content.
And that's all it is.
It's group therapy content for a certain demographic of voter, and it flies in the face of everything that made late night comedy with Johnny Carson and other people. Even if it's just it's just.
I never knew Johnny
Kangaroo.
I never knew Johnny Carson's politics. I mean, obviously, I wasn't watching him live, but when you go back and see clips, you just don't pick that up. It's just become so acceptable to be such a political hack today. And it's just not interesting. It's not funny.
No.
It's not clever. And I remember Colbert. The reason I took back that he wasn't talented is that I feel like I remember back in the Comedy Central days where he was kind of witty and had some talent there and was quick and was, back in the day when, him and Jon Stewart, say what you want about Jon Stewart, but Jon Stewart is quick and witty. I don't agree with most of what he thinks or says, but he's been one to point out things that are pretty obvious. Like there's that famous exchange between him and Stewart and Colbert, where Stewart was like, you mean like the virus that escaped from the lab that was playing with the viruses right next to the thing remember? And Colbert was like, we can't talk about that. I'm a puppet, right? Well, there was a time where Colbert, I think once upon a time anyway, had some talent and had some comedic timing and maybe some integrity. That's long gone. And like you said, it's been gone for decades.
Well, he's singing for a supper.
Yeah.
He and so many other people singing for the supper out there. And you know exactly the ones that they are. Especially people like, what's his name? What's the guy's name again? Pascal. What's his name? Pablo Pascal. What the hell's the guy's name? The
guy who took over on the Daily Show?
Pedro Pascal. He's like in everything these days.
Oh.
He started off as the Viper in that's the first time I saw him in Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Anyway, Pedro Pascal, he's in everything, and he's the most insufferable virtue signaling hack out there. Every time he sits down for an interview with a female media person, he's always like, "Let me see your nails." Yeah, I just love nails. I just love everybody. Yeah, talk about singing for your supper.
Yeah,
people are doing it, and you just know which ones are like really like the dancing monkeys.
I think the world now is starved for authenticity, and so I think, and the other side of that equation is could somebody who actually was authentic, whether you agree with them or not, is sort of irrelevant. It's just authenticity, and like, Rogan is a perfect example. Half the time I don't agree with Joe Rogan. Half the time I think he's doing stupid things and saying stupid things. There was just a recent thing where he had some progressive from Texas on. He told him he should run for president, and this guy's a clown and a half. Like his COVID policies were just as crazy. He thinks there's 6 sexes. I mean, like, Rogan, really? This guy should run for president? Like, wake up, dude. But at least, but I think Rogan, generally speaking, he comes across as authentic, even if he's not just a little bit daft at times, So like, I think someone like that, someone like you, who's truly authentic, even if you don't agree with a political bias that you have or somebody else has, I think the world is starved for that. And I think could have that position. Because as you said, what are you doing at 11 o'clock at night? If you're up and you're on Netflix or you're on YouTube, you could very easily just go to CBS and watch something that's worth your time. The thing they can't get through their heads is that Colbert is a loser. He's an unfunny loser who doesn't entertain anybody. Like you said, it's group therapy. And most of us don't want the damn therapy. So it's over for you, dude. But that doesn't mean that the medium itself is dead or that someone talented couldn't come in and do the job. I don't agree with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's
Frank the show.
Well, the question I have is this, and I asked this on YouTube, on Twitter today, and I got some great response over here. But I said, is there any host and any format, any format that could entice 18 to 49-year-olds to turn on the television, to switch to CBS at 11:30 p.m. on a weeknight? Now, and the reason why I say switch to CBS and not just turn on the television, and that's the way that I had worded it earlier today, but I have to focus this. The device, don't concentrate on the device.
Right.
People are right now at home watching this show on either YouTube or Rumble, or they're casting Quite Frankly.tv through pilled.net. They're watching it on whatever it is, they're casting to a television. Every home still has TVs in it.
Sure.
Okay. The television is still there. What is different about where we live right now is that there is obviously so much more competition that television has ever had.
Yes.
You're going to Netflix, to Hulu, to Amazon, to Apple. You're smart casting to your TVs for anything. Even when I get home with Lauren says, I'm going upstairs for 20 minutes, so you don't have to worry about putting an episode of anything long on. I said, all right. I pair my phone with the TV and we just scroll through reels together and have a laugh before bed. Whatever. Cable is just one service. CBS, NBC, the late night show, the channels you get the late night shows on, there is no cable package you will ever buy that will not include those channels.
Right.
It's basic. So try not to get caught up with, some people say, let the dinosaurs die. The only thing that's dinosaurish is the business model.
Right.
They have a lot of money to put into producing. They have no ideas. They have a platform. They have the money, and everybody still has a television. If you can click just as easily to go from YouTube to CBS as it is to go from one YouTube channel to the next. It's a click.
Absolutely.
So my question is there any host, any format that could ever bring that demographic to click over to CBS again, 11:30 every night? And I don't know. I mean,
so let me just add something a little bit more complicated to the mix. I think it's also because Hollywood and creativity in general is really suffering. From my memory as a kid, there were a lot of good shows on television. And so sometimes late night television you bled into it from the television shows that you were watching. So I think that's part of the problem too. You would watch, a couple of series and then, Carson's on, Letterman's on, Leno's on, something like that. So I think in order to fix that problem, I don't know if it could be solved with just one personality. Say Joe Rogan went to CBS and took over the Late Show. I'm sure that would have an effect. But I think also you need that in conjunction with better, more creative, more interesting, more unique television programming, because you got to bring people back to that medium, because then they can still get that thing that they want maybe some other place. If you want to really bring them back, the creativity and the things that made television great, that also needs to return, I think. So I think it complicates it a little bit.
Think about this. Here's an interesting thing that's popping up that I see here too. Listen to this, and this jumps on what you just said, and I want to balance it out with the whole idea of someone like a Joe Rogan taking over the late night show. TL Spud says the late night show format, originally designed for the post-World War II generation, cannot simply be retooled. That's the biggest mistake. It's a format designed for a more patient, less ADD people. But wait. I can see a fast-moving, in-and-out skit comedy with celebrity guests potentially interspersed with quick animated hits and man-on-the-street type interviews. That is late night comedy.
Yeah.
But the TL, that's the Tonight Show. That's what it was. It was variety and interspersed with very short celebrity interviews or whatever. And it was bits and all that stuff, because you're working not only with people's attention spans, but you're also working within the confines of ad scheduling.
Correct.
Joe Rogan, which is a representative of of some of the bigger media magnets these days, where he's sitting down for no less than 2.5 hours with somebody with no interruptions from Pfizer along the way. I mean, you want to talk about ADD and who would bring millions of more people to a television show? You couldn't bring somebody like that over that is popular, because Joe Rogan would never translate,
right?
Because he has time to stretch out and say things.
Yeah.
You also have the FCC.
You'd have to do a lot of retooling. But I also think, to add another layer of complexity, I think there's a pendulum when it comes to human behavior. And I think that, sure, we could continue to go in this direction, but eventually the attention spans are going to get short enough that people are going to eventually, I think, come to the realization that they're no longer getting what they intended out of a medium, whether it's entertainment or informational. And I think it's possible, like with human biology, to retrain your hunger hormones. I think it's possible to retrain, and I know it's possible actually, to retrain your attention span. So again, this is a Herculean task, but I do think you could get people to come back to something a little bit, even if you believe that late show is all about like quick hitting. I think you could get people back to a medium where they did have a little bit larger of an attention span, away from that TikTok generation. I do think it's possible, but again, the material would have to be solid so that people had a reason to do it. So I know that the social media is pushing us in one direction, but I don't think it's impossible to go back in the other direction, especially if people think and realize they're not really being entertained or informed in this like 15-second format. So I think it's possible, but I think it would be challenging.
The networks, they have the resources, they have the money, they just don't have any vision.
They don't.
And like I said before, for everybody out there that, Jamie Lee Curtis and, the Breakfast Club, who are coping right now and saying that what was reliably liberal group therapy media is now shrinking and collapsing in on itself. They're coping by saying that this is some sort of a Donald Trump administration, whatever. But it's not.
Frank, this is why they're never going to fix it, because they can't even identify the problem.
Exactly.
So the people that are in positions right now in Hollywood, you can't look to them to fix it. It's going to have to come from outside, because only the outsiders can realize how disgustingly corrupted and hack that whole medium has become.
Well, that's why ultimately I think that if you had somebody like a Craig Ferguson that came back and he had a really even keel kind of writing staff around him.
Conan?
Like old days of Conan. Man, I still everybody would. I think everybody.
agree.
I mean, think about even things that Comedy Central was doing back in the day that I can't find box sets for anywhere, like Tough Crowd. You remember Tough Crowd?
Oh.
I brought that up with Colin Quinn. I brought that up.
Oh, yes.
It's been a while
Yes.
since I brought Tough Crowd up, but there's so many formats. I think that would be refreshing, but not necessarily groundbreaking. It's just that, like I said, there's no vision. They did not lose because they're not losing money hand over fist because Donald Trump is the president. The CBS is walking in lockstep visually and philosophically with people like their host, like Colbert. They're all on the same page. You think that CBS didn't give the rubber stamp to the whole vax scene thing? Yeah. The dancing numbers that they did with the vax scene. Or when Mark Cuban came on in the middle of the campaign season last year and did this ridiculous roast of Donald Trump with Stephen. He's like, it was so bad. You don't think that the network executives were fine with it?
Yeah, and this is why Kermit the Gorf, Charlemagne the God, whatever his name is. That's to not be able to pick up on that fact shows you just how out of touch he actually is. Like you're part of the problem. Your business model is a failure. Go back to something worth people's time. Stop blaming people for your terrible business model. But that's what they do, which is, again, it's exactly why they're not going to be the ones to fix it. It's never going to be fixed from within. It's going to have to be fixed from without. And, maybe the advertisers pulling some dollars or, because let's face it, in the end, advertisers and companies, we've seen them, they're just pure capitalists. They may be playing the left game right now because it's popular to have, trans clothes in Target. But as soon as the people are like, no more, they're going to be like, okay. They don't care. The advertisers don't really have any scruples. They don't have any moral compass. They're going to go where the people are because they just want to sell shit. So, there's something to be capitalized on there. But again, to diagnose the problem is the first step. And all these people in Hollywood and all these goofballs, they're not even accurately diagnosing the problem. So they're never going to solve it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And it is what it is. It's very hard to, it's going to be very hard to pull people away from their favorite channels on YouTube at this point too.
Yeah, definitely.
And you don't need to, because you don't need to appease higher ups. And again, FCC, those types of regulations, unregulated so-called airspaces that's just another reason why. But there would be some. I really do believe that if there was a changing of the guard and a genuine change in worldview at a place like CBS, they would be able to find a fresh, young, witty person that would bring some really challenging comedy. I
mean, you could bring back shows similar to, like Kids in the Hall, Living Color, those kinds of things would fly. It's just, there's nothing like that. Saturday Night Live is a shell of its former self. It's just, they've all gone one direction. It's not popular anymore. And so people are mistaking that for people not being interested in the medium. And like you said, you could bring something back that is not even new, but retro, something that mimics something old, always comes back, whether you're talking music, whether you're talking fashion and
free speech.
And the young people are thinking, wow, this is a novel thing that I've discovered. And it's like, actually, we already did this, but that's okay. You're enjoying it.
Not only that, Jay, but think about the audience size. I mean, you say, oh, well, it's nobody's watching television anymore. So, Wilson, first of all, tens of millions of people are watching television. They're not watching the same things.
Right, they're not watching MSNBC.
They're not watching. They're watching less and less news. They're watching less and less with these late night shows because they're just for a very specific demographic. But there's all types of home goods, DIY things that are people are watching television because again, it's just one click away from every other website, every other platform. Mm-hmm. You go from A&E Bravo to Amazon Prime or Paramount to watch 1923 or something, and it's all the same thing. So there's a lot of competition there, but still, are you ever going to bring the Late Show back to where it was? Even in the any figment of what, or I don't know, any semblance, I should say, of what it was with Johnny Carson or something like that. Those days, never,
right? Because
there's just too much competition,
of course.
But 3 million. Anybody who has an audience of 3 million people a week, 3 million people on average for a week. If I was talking to 3 million people a week, I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So it's not like it can't be a serviceable show. It's just that the expectations of that show maybe needs to be downsized a little bit. It's got to become a little bit more cozy, a little bit more rustic. You gotta, you may not be able to broadcast from Rockefeller Center anymore. I don't know. The rent might just be too damn high, but it's not like you don't have. It's not like 2.5 million couldn't easily become 6.
Oh, absolutely.
Even though 6 is a drop in the bucket compared to the kinds of media that's being consumed right now.
Right.
But that's.
I just think in the end, people flock to quality in whatever it is: clothing, food, music, entertainment. If it's quality, people, if you build it, they will come. Is the way I look at it. So Stephen Colbert hasn't built anything worth a damn in a very long time. Good riddance. See you later. Don't let the Late Show door hit you in the ass on the way out.
I know. Oh, you know what we got to talk about sometime? It's what I had brought up as one of the side topics on Thursday night. I was talking about, I wanted some ideas on the death of 24-hour America. How being able to find places that are open beyond 9, 10 o'clock sometimes is getting harder and harder.
That's why I moved to New York.
I know. Well, yeah. Well, you're not going to have a problem. A whole bunch of things, because that's a lot of. You'd be surprised by how many people that responded to my tweet today are just like, "Hell no, I go to sleep too early." And I'm like, well, I mean, on demand is the first thing that you can watch it whenever the hell you want. But I understand that there's plenty of people who are awake at 11:30 p.m. on the East Coast. Yeah. And it's only 8:30 on the West Coast, unless there's some kind of a delayed feed. I don't know. But hell, there's a lot of things changing in society, man.
I know.
That used to be like the family getting together. Well, at least the elder statesmen of the family getting together and watching those late shows. It's like you're getting down, sitting down with family. Yeah,
and you knew as a kid, if you were catching some of those late night shows, you knew you were getting away with something because you weren't supposed to be up that late.
Yeah.
So that was always kind of fun. While the adults are having coffee or tea and whatever, and those shows come on, you're like looking around going, I'm still awake. Nobody's noticing.
I'm not going to say anything.
Just be quiet. Just be quiet.
Let it happen. Just let it happen. My gosh. Okay, you know what? Let's take a really quick break. Here's where we will say, as a duo over here, ladies and gentlemen, go to quitefrankly.tv, hit the events tab, and take a look at what is going to come your way on September 6th. We're already only a few weeks away when you think about it.
I can't even.
It's going to be so incredible. We got wonderful people coming out. You're going to be able to hang out with all your favorite faces from the show. And as far as the food goes, man, you're going to be fed well. You're going to have the company of great people, light entertainment, good music, whatever the hell it is. It's going to be wonderful. And for those of you out there, I want to also say there will be several live streams that are started at the venue. It will be from my phone. They will be for sponsors, monthly sponsors. If you become a sponsor of the show, you will be getting those live links to watch. At certain times. Like, I'll make sure that we're live for any kind of panel that we do. It'll be fun. I'll be walking around the venue several times throughout the night at designated times. So sponsors, you will be able to see that until we figure out some way of having an advanced broadcast apparatus at the place for future years where it can be really well covered. I'm just going to do something basic for the monthly sponsors at this point, and just because I know there's a lot of people who wish they can come and really be able to see it, but aren't going to be able to. Yeah. And I want to make sure that there's that for at least the monthly people.
But if you can get out, it's going to be the most perfect time of year, the beginning of September. Fall is around the corner. The holidays are around the corner. It's going to be, I mean, we just went through the menu of with the chef of the potential menu options and items that Frank and I actually have to choose from. And man, you guys will have for anybody who doesn't want to be adventurous, there's just going to be steak, and there's just going to be, there's going to be the regular stuff
from Sal the Butcher.
But there's going to be some serious things to try. And when I tell you, Frank, I mean, you've been at 2 retreats. When Chef Nick, unleashes his creativity on food, it is unbelievable. And doesn't matter what you thought you were eating, it probably isn't that.
It's like some of the menu items on the Titanic.
Yeah. I mean, it's seriously. So half the time I have to go, Nick, what is that?
This is too fancy, Nick.
What is that? I don't even know what that is. Oh, it's just this. So it's really going to be incredible. Nick is a great guy too. So if you're interested in like how he makes something and you taste something and you're like, this is unbelievable, he'll take the time to talk to you about how he made it. I mean, at the retreats, that's half the fun is, Frank, he taught Frank how to break down a chicken.
I cut that thing to ribbons.
Pieces.
It was great.
We're not going to do that at the event.
No.
This time.
No butchering of animals at the event.
But there's going to be so much fun, so much good food, so many good people. We definitely want to have you hang out there.
Yeah, and that's it. You'll be showered with gifts and all that fun stuff.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, and also I talked to Dominic, the singing ice cream man, last night.
Oh, all right.
I said, Dom, you're going to have to sing. He goes, I was just singing last night. I said, I didn't say that, Dom. You have to sing in September.
Yeah, save your voice.
People want to hear you sing. Anyway, so I'll hopefully it'll all go well. If you have any questions, get in touch with me. Okay, so here's what I have, Jay, that I wanted to bring up. Last time that you were here, to switch topics. Wait, we have a couple of super chats real quick. Stove says, good evening, Frank and Giuseppe. Great way to start off the week. Thank you, gents. Thank you, Stowe. Rhinoceros says, there is no business like show business. I'd be happy with a jig. Yes, well, we're going to talk about that tonight when it's time for Film Club. Let's see. Jay Britt says, always a great Monday with Frank and Jemima Gulinello. I garner a distaste for this show.
That's a very high class way of saying I hate this show.
Envision the scent. Shotzi says, Jay on a Monday. Great way to begin the week.
I know. I don't know if I've ever been here on a Monday.
I don't know. Perhaps. Jeriz Jono says, hi, Frank. Can you ask Jay Gulinello to dispel the all calories are created equal in regards to weight gain and weight loss myth, asking for a confused friend?
Yeah. I mean, in the end, calories do matter. They're part of the equation. But if you take the hormonal aspect out, I always tell people, so if you keep reducing your calories, what happens? Do you eventually fade away to nothing? Of course not. The body compensates, lowers the BMR, the basal metabolic rate, and eventually you will start to get so tired because your body won't want to move because it senses calorie scarcity. You ask anybody, if they continue to lower their calories, eventually you'll be left with some serious problems. And then you look at something like 100 calories of broccoli versus 100 calories of Oreos, and they have a completely different hormonal response. And so if you understand that insulin is the fat storage hormone, well, then you can understand that something that spikes insulin is going to help you store more fat, whereas something that doesn't is going to allow you to utilize and liberate fat and could actually, become weight loss. So in the short term, calories do matter, but over the long term, the entire environment, the hormonal environment, thermodynamics does not apply to the human body necessarily because the human body is not a closed system. It interacts with the environment. People always tell you the first law of thermodynamics. I'm like, well, you're also forgetting entropy, the second law, but the first law is about closed systems. The human body technically is not a closed system. So,
and not only that, but just basic analogies I would give to some of my personal training clients back in the day there too. It's like you just said, compare 100, 100 gram, 100 milli, what is it?
Calories,
100 calories of broccoli versus Cheerios.
Mm-hmm.
Compare 100 calories of cotton candy.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it is where are you going to be satiated? What is
Right.
going to go to work for? What's going to keep you fuller longer? What is going to go to fuel your body longer? Because you
Right.
get 100 calories out of a strip, a patch of cotton candy. But at the same time, you're going to be ravenous still. There's nothing there.
Yeah, and you also have to take into account the thermic effect of food. That's where the second law of thermodynamics comes in. Protein has the highest thermic effect, meaning that it takes the most amount of energy in the form of calories, which is really what energy is, just heat. It's a measure of heat. But you need a certain amount of energy from the body to break down proteins. Protein is the highest thermic effect. So you eat protein and you're only I think it's like 25% energy expenditure. So you're actually only really absorbing about consuming about 75% of that, because 25% of that protein goes to actually breaking the protein itself down. So people just really misunderstand how that actually works. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Okay, well, there you go. Jay Semo says, happy Monday, Jay and Frank. That's on Rumble. And then Icebox87 says, I'm a male looking for sugar mommy to take me to Quite Frankly Jamboree.
Oh.
Well, please, somebody help Icebox out. He deserves to come.
That's really nice.
Not only that, we may have a special announcement in late July, first week in August, as far as tickets go. But I do have at least 2 tickets that are going to be given away.
That's going to be fun.
In August. So I don't know how to, because it has to go to people who are, I got to put their name down for something, and they have to be able to, how do we make sure that people who really want to come?
So is it like based on, we want, it's like someone who's really in need of the help? Yeah.
How do we put this into a raffle?
You must write an essay.
We got to figure it out.
Got to write an essay to Quite Frankly why you deserve this ticket.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll figure it out. Anyway, that'll be fun. Zoso Dude says that Stacey Abrams candle was too much to bear. It did look like Stacey. Oh my god!
How do you know what Stacey looks like from that angle?
He's
Zoso Dude.
I've seen it. Stostube says, how do I get placed on a timeout by owner or moderator on a YouTube chat? What? Who timed out Stostube? Who on earth would ever do that?
Causing a ruckus.
I'll figure it out, Stostube, and then they will be chastised.
Relentlessly.
Porpoiseful, thank you. Stostube with the cookies. Sentinel says, sometimes to escape the bullshit, we watch reruns of Johnny Carson just to feel normal. Carson did take jabs at obvious stupid things politicians did in a monologue, but it wasn't the whole show. Currently, no one can dominate 11:30 p.m. No, domination is, that's because again, in Carson's day, what are you doing at 11:30?
Right.
What are you watching at 11? What were your choices?
Exactly. What was the available choice? Now, it wasn't much.
Thankfully, you want to talk about a perfect scenario where you had limited choices, but what you did had was absolute gold. That's what a culture is built on, to be honest, and it was a linchpin in our culture. But other than that, it's not about domination. It's just about who would make a really good home of that and would garner a really healthy audience, because there's definitely enough.
And I'm not saying you can't take shots at politicians. I'm saying, it should go both ways. Like, because we all know both parties are full of shit. So you should be able to find ample opportunity. I mean, if you didn't, Stephen Colbert, the reason why he's such a hack and he's not even a comedian is that he took 4 years of Joe Biden's presidency, and I don't think he ever made a Joe Biden joke. Are you for real?
I know.
I mean, you are pathetic, Stephen Colbert. That is why you don't have a job anymore, buddy. You couldn't find something comedic in old Joe Biden?
Right.
Stop the malarkey. Cut the malarkey.
And that's what's baked into the pie here.
Yeah.
Because that's where the disparity is.
Yeah.
There was not enough people willing to watch that shit because, God. And again, not only was it a dwindling audience, though. If I had 2.5 million people watching me, I'd be the happiest guy on earth. But I would be able to. But then again, if it was 2.5 million 90-year-old women.
I was just going to say, how are you going to classify this crowd?
And I have 90, and I there's quite a few 90-year-olds that watch this show, and I love them. But you know what? I understand what's going on there. 2.5 million people, and only 9% of them are under the age of 50. Is that's serious, man.
Yeah.
As far as looking ahead, financially, you're done.
Well, that's right. So I mean, if the business model for the advertisers is like, these people aren't going to be around much longer. What the hell what are we going to do? So it's not a mystery to me. What's a mystery to me is why it's a mystery to them.
Yeah.
I think.
Golden Crisp says, happy Monday. I'll catch this show for my Monday morning work day tomorrow. You see that? someone who watches on demand the next day.
Tuesday morning, though, I hope. I hope you're not repeating Monday.
Oh,
again
I'm sorry
tomorrow.
for my morning.
Okay.
Happy Monday. I'll catch this in the morning. My bad.
I was like, Frank, we entered a time warp.
Amethyst Cat says, do Jay's chefs have social media that we can follow?
Oh, yeah. And we'll get all that stuff out to you guys.
And Zoso Dude says, I could have sworn Jehoshaphat Gulinello was here the end of last week. He was.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Before we we're losing time.
I'm moving in a futon, just so you know.
I'm
moving
in. He's right over there.
We're redecorating.
Right over there. Yeah. Oh, you want to hear, since we're going to be talking about Ozempic,
huh?
This guy is called Badlands Chugs. You ever hear about Badlands Chugs?
I don't think so, but I can guess.
Okay, well, this guy, he's from New York, and he just chugs shit out of liter glass. But here, there he is right there.
Oh, well, that's exactly what I thought he was going to look like.
He's from New York. Now, this is just an example right here. In that glass right there, that is a little bit over a liter, that glass boot. There is Mountain Dew Frostbite in there.
Oh, God.
It is 145 grams of sugar. Listen, otherwise, he's a really nice guy.
Oh, I'm sure he's nice.
But when I watch this, I wonder how the fuck, why I'm so, hyper vigilant over what I'm eating, and other people are living like this. Watch this.
That only comes out during the 4th of July.
Here we go.
But here we go. Enough talk. Let's get this down quickly, all right? Cheers, folks.
This is 145 grams of sugar in 10 seconds.
Now, I mean...
That's what I'm talking about. So good and...
Now, that happens on Thanksgiving and people blame the turkey.
See,
I got so tired after I ate the tryptophan and the turkey.
And now you talk about Ozempic and everybody losing weight and all that stuff. Now that I've set the table, I want to get this out because I know that Molly from Keto Brainz is going to call us up for a few minutes towards the end, probably in the next 15 minutes, because I'm just starting to make connections between everybody's work and what they do outside of the actual Keto Brainz. But when it comes to peptides, I didn't know that there was a link between the Ozempic conversation and peptides, which is becoming that, and bioregulators becoming emergent in health markets and in people who are just researching how the hell they can keep themselves out of the hospital for as long as possible. Now, here's what I got. This is from piratewires.com. We may have found the swole pill. And I had to grab this a couple of weeks ago because it was all about the secondary drugs that people are starting to pair up with Ozempic to slow down the erasure of muscle. Okay? Here's a little bit. Millions are injecting GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic to shed pounds, but they're discovering an ugly truth. The drug turns longtime users into deflated balloons. Ozempic users tend to be sedentary. They're naturally fat, remember, which compounds the muscle loss problem. They're not hitting the gym or eating protein-rich diets to preserve muscle, so they lose much more of it. So this here, semaglutide strips away alongside of fat. In 2021 trial, about 40% of weight loss on the drug was lean muscle, not fat. 40%. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Now, the result is they end up skinny fat, thin but weak, with slower metabolism and higher risk of regaining weight as fat. Now, there's other things we were talking about. Incontinency, the strange dreams. There have been so many strange side effects that have been reported with this. But here's the bigger one. If people say that they have Ozempic face, or their eyes are sunken, or something's going, they're losing muscle tone. Well, that is very well known. But here's what we have: lean muscle stabilizes blood sugar, as we know, boosts immunity, keeps bones strong, and maintains metabolic rate. Women are most at risk of health complications from being skinny fat because muscle loss compounds age-related bone density issues. So I always push all the women in my life, please. Walks are great. get resistance workouts in. You've got to get, please.
Because they just naturally have lower muscle mass. So it's very important for them to maintain it for a variety of reasons, metabolically, but also, you're right, bone density for sure.
Anyway, the swole pill. Since the discovery of myostatin inhibitors in the 1990s, scientists have been digging around for a use case. At first, they thought that these drugs could treat muscular dystrophy, but that didn't work. Now they found their killer app, preventing the muscle tax that makes Ozempic users look weak. So 2 recent trials. In June, Regeneron, remember? Regeneron proved that semaglutide alone strips 34.5% of weight loss from muscle. But add their myostatin inhibitor, trevogrumab, patients lost 30 pounds total and only 1.5 pounds were muscle.
Right.
Okay. Now, the other one, Scholar Rock, a decade-old biotech company founded by Harvard Medical School researchers, saw a similar conclusion a week later. Its drug, apitegromab, a myostatin blocking antibody, preserved 54.9% of lean mass when combined with tirzepatide.
Yeah.
Instead of losing weight as 70% fat and 30% muscle, patients on the tirzepatide, apitegromab, the combo lost 85% fat and 15% muscle. So in other words, patients taking these cutting edge drugs didn't just lose more weight, they finally lost the right weight. Now, listen, I've got a lot of problems with the Ozempic craze outside of emergency use for like somebody who is 800 pounds and if they have ever going to have a shot at something, at a chance to be able to change their life instead of just saucing up. I got issues, but what do you take away from this, and how does it link to peptides?
Boy, oh boy. There's so many directions to go, and I had not read that article before either, so it's interesting what they're doing to try to mitigate the downsides. So the incretin hormones, I guess it's really important to understand, and maybe some people don't understand, that they think Ozempic is a pharmaceutical, but it's actually a peptide, and it's actually a peptide that's produced in the body, just like insulin is a peptide.
What is a peptide?
It's just a string of amino acids. So, protein is made up of amino acids. Typically, the cutoff point is about 50. When you have a string of 50 amino acids, you then start calling it a protein. When it's smaller than 50 amino acids, you can call it a peptide. Oligopeptide, dipeptide, tripeptide, pentadecapeptide. There's a whole bunch of different. BPC 157 is a pentadecapeptide. 15 amino acids. So there's a bunch of different names, but basically we're talking about simply a string of amino acids that have a function in the body. Insulin is one that everybody is kind of aware of, and it exerts effects on the cell receptors in the body. So incretin hormones are in the gut, and they have a variety of different effects. So the incretin hormones are mainly GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide 1, and GIP, which is glucose-dependent insulinotropic peptide. So these are hormones that are produced in the gut. And so the reason I'm trying to say this and set the stage for you guys is that it's not a pharmaceutical intervention. And what I believe, jumping ahead, what's causing some of the negative side effects is inappropriate use. Using it for too long, using it at too high dosages, that seems to be the real problem. And things like Ozempic, which are just GLP-1 receptor agonists, they're only increasing the effect of the GLP-1 incretin hormone. But I just told you there's 2, and they work in synergy with other things like glucagon, the opposing hormone to insulin. So what they're doing now is they're starting to smarten up to that, and they're creating peptides that are more in line, and they're able to stimulate GIP, GLP-1, glucagon, so that it works in a more synergistic way. And that's also alleviating the side effects. So the jury is still out on those. Dosed appropriately, they seem to actually be very helpful at doing a lot of things. Remember, they're really not for fat loss. It's really to reprogram the nervous system, reprogram the pancreas, help reduce food noise. That they actually have beneficial effects in the brain because the gut and the brain communicate. So I think it's really important. You've heard me on this show before, trashing pharmaceuticals. We're in a different territory, and I really want to make sure the audience understands that I want to find the nuance, because I know you guys rely on me to kind of cut through some of that stuff. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Ozempic, I think, is problematic, and I think it's interesting. We're starting to see now polypharmacy. So now we're using these myostatins, And there's some issues I have with the myostatins because the muscle that they preserve has been shown also in studies to be lower quality muscle. So they're preserving muscle mass, but the quality of the muscle that is being preserved isn't always great. So that's a problem, right?
Okay.
So like we're using a drug to manage the side effect of another drug that's being used inappropriately is what's happening here with that.
Yeah, there's a domino effect that's being made.
Yes.
And so there's not a very holistic approach to the entire thing, because just like all the other approaches that we get from Western medicine, it's just, hey, let's focus on the most dominant symptoms, and treat the symptom instead of trying to find. So if you were in this situation couple of moments before we bring on Molly, if you were going to use that peptide, I don't know, in some kind of, would that ever be part of an equation to a great, and in what circumstance would you say that we need this kind of intervention, first of all?
No, I don't think so. No,
any
not anymore, because now there are better versions of that like I said, that are more complete and more holistic, working with the body. So that would be things like I had Nurse Jenny created a couple of docs for me to look at, because she's been digging into this. We've been both digging into peptides for the last month, but she's been specifically digging into this because she's been using these microdoses for patients at very, very small doses. But she's using things like trizepatide and retatrutide, which is not FDA approved yet, but is coming soon. And those work across the spectrum of incretin hormones, and they have a totally different metabolic effect. And she's also, again, using them at very low doses, and there's a time limit on them. I work with people all day long whose doctors tell them, literally, the quote is, "This is your forever medication," which is disgusting on so many levels. And they're not managing lifestyle. Obviously, we're managing lifestyle. So if we were to use a peptide like this, like a trizepatide or retatrutide, that would be in conjunction with all the other lifestyle things, because none of these, like any other supplement, BPC 157, not a magic cure. It sets up the body, creating an environment for healing. But if you don't remove what has gone wrong in the first place, the reason that a lot of doctors, like Dr. Tina Moore, who I greatly respect, is an advocate for some of these GLP-1 receptor agonists, is that she's saying that the inappropriate environment that we live in that has created diabetes and all these other diseases also has created a potential GLP-1 deficiency in the L cells in the intestines. And that's what secretes these incretin hormones. And if there is a problem there, you can have all the downstream effects that people experience when they can't get rid of the food noise and they struggle in that area. And what you can do by using very small doses of this peptide is you can restore some of that metabolic integrity that can allow people then to engage in the lifestyle and modifications. But you cannot do this without them. You cannot do it without them, because no one really knows what being on these for a lifetime. And I can use insulin as the perfect example. You put a patient who's a type 2 diabetic on insulin, and Dr. Jason Fung says this all the time. Once you put a type 2 diabetic on insulin, you have officially failed them. People think, what do you mean? I'm saving their life. Their insulin isn't clearing their blood sugar anymore. Yeah. You're now injecting exogenous insulin at doses that are there to control the blood sugar, but now the body has to deal with more insulin than it was ever supposed to deal with. So you're actually accelerating them through the process of diabetes. Becoming an insulin-dependent type 2 diabetic is not a positive thing. It's a negative thing. It saves their life, but it creates this whole cascade that they will eventually experience inevitably. So what you need to do, if you have to use insulin, which is the same analogy I'm drawing here, if you end up using a trizepatide or another incretin receptor agonist, you can then engage in the lifestyle behavior modifications that need to be done to then pull them off of that medication to bring them back into homeostasis. So we're doing triage therapy, but we've seen this same thing happen in diabetics. Once you put them on insulin, if you don't change their lifestyle, you are actually rapidly accelerating their deterioration. And I think the same thing is going to happen with some of these drugs. And I see it in people. They have the terrible side effects because the practitioners are also upping the dose over time. So they're not even holding the dose steady, and they're using too high of a dose to start. So
Yeah.
I hope the audience can understand. I know that's a lot, but I hope when we can unpack this in another episode where we really go through this and maybe even have Jen zoom in or something, because we've really been digging into this to try to understand the nuance, because there's a lot of really smart people who are finding ways to use these peptides responsibly rather than just throwing the baby out with the bathwater, but they can't be done in isolation. They must be done with lifestyle change. That is the foundation of every supplement you take, anything you do. If you don't have the lifestyle stuff in line, you're never going to have the success that you seek.
Well, I mean, we got Molly Rucker of KetoBrainz.com joining us right now. And Molly, since we got you for a few minutes tonight, I would love to hear your thoughts on this topic in general, because one product you have that I just learned about is this BPC 157, which, I mean, I would love to hear you guys talk about uses of this, but a lot of people in the audience already knew about this peptide. So I don't know. What do you feel about the whole, just jump right in. I'm sure you've been listening.
Well, you know, what Jay said at the very end there is something that I used a lot when I spoke to people about supplements. So even with supplements, there's a drug-like effect that you can aim for with a high dose of a single nutrient. And this is entirely different than supplementing a missing, vitamin, or supplementing a missing mineral, or trying to build a well-rounded program. And he said it all. You know, I think back to statins, when people would first come to me about statins, and they were just thinking that by lowering a number, they would not have a heart attack. And then, they were having muscle cell death, because that statin is then causing an issue with the body's production of CoQ10, and we can't live without CoQ10. So, whether it's peptides, drugs, supplements, or anything else, it's the same conversation. And I look at all of these things as tools. BPC 157 is an amazing tool, but I wouldn't just use BPC 157 and not do physical therapy, and not make sure I'm getting adequate protein, and not make sure I'm doing X, Y, or Z for the recovery of a joint, if that's what I was using BPC for. Or if you're expecting BPC to heal your gut and you're not making any of the stress, nervous system, or diet changes, it's also not a good use case for the BPC.
I could not agree more, Molly. As usual, it's like the first R in any effective functional medical protocol is remove. So if you're like your gut example is the perfect one. A lot of people that I work, the gut is something that everybody, seems like almost everybody struggles with. But if you're still eating, the pastas and the things that are driving your body to have the damage in the first place, disrupt the tight junctions, do all the things that are happening in the gut that you hope BPC 157 is going to be able to solve, it's an incredible tool, and it's a targeted tool. And bioregulators are incredibly targeted to be able to help reprogram cells. But you've got to get out of the way. These things are basically the tools that allow the body to do the healing, because the body is what does the healing. And
it's interesting, because before I went down a different path and I thought I wanted to work with people full-time in person, what you just said is brilliant, because the very first thing I would do to not scare people away was ask them for the top 5 things they knew they shouldn't be doing or consuming, or be consuming less of. And I would say, we're going to start really simple. I'm not going to tell you what to do. We're going to start with you determining for yourself what are the top 5 things you should be doing less or not at all. Start there. So your R word, your remove from, the equation word. I think that's huge. And then, also asking people to look at their blind spots. Everybody, we're all really good at sharing what we do well. And we're really bad at seeing what our blind spots are. And I think dietarily, that's huge. I'd have so many people tell me how many vegetables they ate, and, how much omega-3 they got, and how much this and how much that. But then the protein question or the iron question, depending on whether or not it was a man or a woman or an athlete. So, this is an interesting conversation for me. I can't do CrossFit right now because I have a fully torn rotator cuff. That would be much worse if I hadn't been on BPC for the past 5 years. But this conversation is really similar to people at the gym who, when they found out I didn't eat breakfast or lunch and went to CrossFit every morning, and then wanted the down low on keto and carnivore, and they were always just overwhelmed. And so I always had to bring it back in and simplify and try to get them to understand the 2 different fuel substrates, the basics to remove, why I wasn't on the floor freaking out and exhausted like everyone else at the end of the workout. And it's the same thing with the peptides. It's like, I know what BPC 157 does for all of the injuries I've had and the one I currently have. I know BPC is not going to glue my rotator cuff back together. You know, I also got stem cells. I'm also very clear, unless I can find Joe Rogan's magical stem cells, that stem cells are not going to glue my rotator cuff back together.
Right.
But I'm also very clear on what it can do for the healing of the surrounding tissues. And it's just happened too many times. For me, specifically with BPC, I have played with the SEMA and ipamorelin as well. But the BPC is one that, as someone who refuses to not be active and who genetically has way too much muscle power for how weak my tendons are genetically, I tend towards issues with my ligaments and tendons because my muscles, they don't stop being muscly. They don't get tired. And that's a problem because your tendons have to get accustomed to the amount of weight that your muscles move.
Molly, so right there, I love to get into this because, you know, the peptide angle is really interesting, especially when I knew that it was really at the basis of what all this Ozempic stuff is. Only the thing is that, like Jay described it, the problem with how Ozempic is being introduced into the population is causing more of a domino effect of problems, and it's not very holistic. But at the same time, here you are, and I was just so interested. I wanted to have this be the topic of conversation next time you came on, because whereas me and so many people in this audience are completely, you know, can't go a day without keto brains, when I heard that you also have been in the research and development side of BPC 157, and that being a peptide, I wanted to know about, you know, how this is all really applied. Because again, there you are. You said you have a torn rotator cuff. Do you obviously, like you said, nothing is going to fuse that back together? Is that something that you will eventually get surgery on one day?
When we're done moving, I am so tired of having one gimpy arm, and I'm just going to keep overdeveloping my traps and my lats because I can't use the shoulder. So I will, yes. So as soon as we're done moving and I don't need my arm for a number of months, I will do that. But in this case, to me, my case is interesting because I believe I tore it about 95% over 5 years ago. I was practicing hand-to-hand push-ups in a hotel by myself, and I dislocated my shoulder while upside down in a handstand push-up.
Oh.
And that was horrific and comical because I basically, I called 911 and was like, hi, I'm not dying, but I think I broke my elbow. And then like a whole bunch of firemen showed up and a bunch of people showed up, and they saw all the CrossFit equipment that I had brought with me to the hotel. And you could tell they wanted to laugh. And I was like, dude, you can laugh. I did it to myself. CrossFit didn't do it to me. Blah, blah, blah. But I am an oddball. I had hippie parents. I've never had insurance. I still don't. So it was like $6,000 out of pocket, but I didn't get an MRI. I just came home, did what I do. I did some research. I took my lion's mane. I did everything I could. I went back to CrossFit right away and just didn't use this arm. Damn. I got 5 years out of that shoulder before I found out I had a torn rotator cuff. I had been on BPC from the day after I tore my rotator cuff, in addition to CJC 12, I'm going to mess it up.
9.5?
That one,
yeah.
And a couple of other peptides. And I did injectables for about 2 months, and then I was on BPC almost every day for years.
Okay, wait. So here's the thing. The Ozempic stuff, we're talking, I think the basis of everybody's problem with the Ozempic stuff is that a lot of people who are taking are people who have just, they're not putting themselves into any kind of.
Let me say this. I'm in a unique position to talk about that too. I weighed 250 pounds when I was 12.
What?
So I was a fat kid, and then I was an obese teenager. And then unfortunately I met anorexia in a film they showed us in home ec about how bad eating disorders were.
Whoa.
14, I stopped eating. My mom, we had no money, but my mom started cleaning the one gym in our town, and I got a free gym membership. And by the time I graduated high school, people were joking that I looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger's little sister because I lived at the gym. So if keto or carnivore or Ozempic I know what it feels like to feel like you're doing everything and you cannot change something about your body. I think a big piece of what's missing with the Ozempic puzzle is that if you've never been actually obese or over 30 pounds overweight, you don't know how desperate and how deeply emotional that is for people. And I think that the scientific conversation around it is huge. I think I see all the different conversations and they're all applicable, and I don't think any of them are wrong. But I think, the underlying issue, it has to go back to, why is the person overweight to begin with? What have they tried? How much of it is, no, not genetic, but there are genetic propensities. As another example, my ex was 6'10". His little sister was 6'2". They were all ginormous.
I'll say.
they were very large. And when I looked at their genetics, there is a hormone called ghrelin that we came to lovingly refer to as the hunger gremlin. His whole family overexpressed ghrelin. Ghrelin is the hormone that tells you to be hungry. So genes play a role. They absolutely do not dictate what happens with you.
Right.
But there are components that we have to think about. And I think that if you have someone who struggled with their weight from the age of 8 until 40, and they tried everything, and Ozempic comes around, they're not in a rational thinking place.
Right.
They're in a shit. I've spent my whole fucking life trying to do this. Here's all these goddamn celebrities who were already rail thin, losing, more weight. Let me try it. So all I'm saying is that, for me, I had to completely rewrite what health was and what having a healthy relationship with nutrition was. Because at first it was just about skinny. Well, skinny almost killed me. So at 24, when all of the bad behaviors stopped, it was a conversation I had to have around myself about being dead or fat. And I wasn't fat at the time. But when you are in that mindset that people get into, you have to rewire your brain. You have to rewire everything about how you're interacting with nutrition and life. So the Ozempic thing, to me, I'm grateful it wasn't around when I was a kid, because I'm good at figuring out how to get shit that I want and need, and I probably would have figured out how to get that, and that would have been bad because I wouldn't have all the muscle that I have. I wouldn't have all the learnings that I have. And in my mind, we are robbing people of a really important process of getting to understand why, so they can stop the behaviors that are leading them to be that thing.
Yep.
To me, that's huge, because if we don't account for that, we can make Ozempic illegal. That's fine, but people are going to do heroin. People are going to do their drug of choice, and there's a reason for it until they rewire the why, and they have to want to put that labor in. I'm the biggest proponent for muscle there is. I have more muscle than most women would want. That's my genetics, and I finally got over it and stopped trying to be real thin, and so I put on muscle, and I like it. But I'm 48, I'm going to be 49. That is half a lifetime of learning, understanding what health was, understanding that skinny wasn't always healthy. And so, sorry to go on a tangent, but
no, it's not the tangent. It's actually perfect, because what you just said right there was that what was health? What is nutrition? Unfortunately, people aren't getting that level of coaching from their doctor. They're getting the shot. And so whereas somebody like you or Jay would be able to take a person in that level of distress that say, I've tried everything and I need something, I just can't take this anymore. And understanding the emotional side of it, it just doesn't seem that most of the help that people are getting are
it's the same thing they do with any drug.
Yeah.
Yes.
The only reason we got my man on a right path for his high cholesterol is because I'm a dodo bird that doesn't stop looking into the whys. So, the doctor, no matter how intelligent, wants to immediately go to the tool that they oftentimes believe is going to be the thing that saves someone's life. But I went down a rabbit hole on ferritin. I went down a rabbit hole on testosterone. I went down a rabbit hole on chemical exposures in the military. And the picture that was painted as to why his numbers were going in the wrong direction wasn't just this, your number, your numbers are high because you're now 49 and now we need to lower your numbers.
Yeah.
That wasn't the reality. There were other things that actually took someone who had the time to deep dive to bring that to the surface, correct those things, and then see the numbers go where they're supposed to go naturally. And it is how the system has been trained to interact with an organism. They're looking at you like a car. They're not looking at you like a very multifactorial entity with a past that's different than their other clients. They're looking at, science tells me this number is bad. Let me get this number down. I've got other patients. I've got to see them, go on this, see me in 6 months.
Worse than a car, they're treating you like plumbing. Which is really problematic. And I think what you said is extremely important. It is our job, if you're working with someone, to determine, when someone says to me, I've tried everything, I don't mean to be rude, but I need to know. I need to know what you mean by that, because if you mean everything by like the food pyramid, that's not your fault. You may have tried everything in accordance with typical dietary advice, but you're coming to me because you're looking for something that's going to work, because nothing has worked.
What you just said is huge. It's not your fault,
right?
But you must take personal responsibility for where you currently are, irrespective of what quote unquote fault came prior. When you have new knowledge, you need to move forward in life based on new knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's, there's no way around that.
Oh, so let me to direct this to the final destination of the no sorry at all. This has been fantastic. Okay, so now that we're talking about what people are going through mentally, what we all need to go through, learning paths, the doctor's office, the current trends in the United States, all that stuff. Let's say that you have a person who is now working. They're on that path. They're to establishing better health. They're trying to achieve, as Jay said before, homeostasis. Why? And at that point, like I've always said to everybody that I've ever, plugged and bragged about Keto Brainz with, I said, listen, if you're behind the 8 ball, it'll bring you up to level perhaps. But if you really want to feel the amazing, the power of flight. I mean, your body's already, you got to be ready to, your body has to already be in a good place metabolically and all that other stuff. I mean, you can really add a little jet fuel to the tank. But when it comes to this, what I'm asking now is, if somebody's already on that path, how do you start incorporating things like the BPC 157, that peptide that you have, Molly, that you guys, Lauren, my wife, is about to start BPC 157. Jay works with her, and this is the next step on her path to healing her gut issues. But again, you're using it for your shoulder. So how all encompassing is this?
So to me, it's all encompassing, because evolution would have us be dead after we procreate, meaning our bodies are not meant to survive well to the age of 100. Evolution just wants us to make babies, and then it doesn't really care what happens to us at the cellular, mitochondrial, or any level that would allow us to, climb Machu Picchu or run a marathon at 90. For myself, I want to feel as good as possible for as long as possible. So I am going to do everything in my power for my musculature and my joints and my tendons and my ligaments via diet, exercise, and peptides, because there's only so much you can do. And for anyone who's ever had a tendon injury in particular, tendons take forever to heal because the circulation to tendons is very poor to begin with. So if you have someone of any weight, of any age, who has a nagging injury or an old injury that bothers them, anything where you need to get more nutrition to a site of injury so that healing is sped up, BPC 157 is to me, it's kind of like the introductory peptide that pretty much anyone can add into what they're doing. There are gut health implications, there are nervous system implications, there's information on it for recovering nerves post-stroke. There are a ton of different esoteric reasons to use BPC, but the foundational component of longevity is your musculature, having it and using it, And well, I talked about in my case, I can put on a lot of muscle, but then my tendons get angry. So I have to do extra things to ensure that that they're not angry. So this is a tool that anyone who is active now and would like to continue to be active into the future can incorporate in various ways. So if you have an active injury, for me, what I have used and recommended over the years is 500 milligrams twice a day for about 3 weeks for an active injury. If it's more of a, like, who's in their 50s whose shoulder doesn't hurt sometimes? If it's something like that, I would just take one 500 milligram pill a day for, say, 3 months, take 2 or 3 weeks off, and then you can take it again. That's how
do you have that on your site?
So to clarify, we used to sell BPC 157 on the Keto Brainz site. As I believe you alluded to, peptides are not a drug and they're also not a supplement. They live in a gray area, and Shopify payment systems do not like that gray area. So we cannot sell BPC 157 on our site. So Kyle, who you've all not met, the other half of Keto Brainz, started a second company just to sell peptides and eventually bioregulators. So that is Mind by Mitochondria, because we are mitochondria, and we will have many things on there for your mitochondria because they're so crucial. But for now, the first thing that we have is the BPC 157.
That's what's the website? Mind My Mitochondria?
Mind Thy Mitochondria.
Thy.
Yes.
Mind Thy Mitochondria. Jeez, I had this written down too.
You know what? It came from some TED Talk I listened to years ago about this woman who, she had some neurological condition, and they had just kind of written her off to die. And she went down a path of nutrition and a path of supplementation, and discovered CoQ10 and discovered PQQ and discovered coenzyme A and discovered what her mitochondria needed. And blah, blah, blah. That was kind of, other than the fact that I fell in love with CoQ10 over 25 years ago and have taken it for that long. Anytime I heard people finally start to talk about, like, I have a stupid little mantra that is basically, like, I talk to my mitochondria. It's like, you're composed of 65 to 90 trillion little molecular geniuses.
It was too.
I heard it.
Those geniuses work. Your pieces work.
Yeah.
Your organs. You don't do a liver cleanse. Your organs are mitochondrially dense because of the amount of work they do for you over a lifetime. Don't do an organ cleanse. Fortify the organ. It's doing so much work for you. And all of that is keeping your mitochondria robust and sound. Like, mitochondrial-based medicine, I do believe that's where we're going, because the more we understand, like, if you have heart failure, you have mitochondrial failure in that organ.
Finally, I found it.
Sorry.
It's too bad. Molly, it's too bad we met at KetoCon, physically met, but she was working her booth and selling Keto Brainz, but I was upstairs doing a talk all on the mitochondria. It's too bad.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry.
Well, Molly, but before we start wrapping up here, is there any? I'm going to share this in all the chat rooms. I'll put it in the description of the episode because, like I said, I'm going to start. Jay wants me to start using this a little bit too because he's working on my situation. Even though but Lauren is on a much more drastic path to healing, and I can't wait to see how it works out. What can I tell people? Is there a special code for this or something like that?
So we have a Frankly code set up for the Frankly audience. I believe we set it up for 25% off.
Nice. Wow.
Just across the board. If you're someone who already uses BPC and you want it, we've got a buy two, get one free going.
Is it just Frankly?
Yep, just Frankly.
Okay.
Yep, it is a pleasure to offer things to people that we will not go a day without, and to be able to source those things from places where, I pop a lot of pills, so I want to know where they come from. I want to know that I'm popping what I think I'm popping. But BPC, I can't recommend enough. Just Frank, it sounds like you were in fitness for a long time. Like, anybody who's used their body a lot, you're going to end up with funny little things.
Yeah.
And BPC BPC is just, yeah.
It's the left shoulder for me the last couple of months. I was like, what the hell, man? I don't know what the hell.
Just, if your bicep starts to hurt, I thought I tore my bicep. There was no pain in my shoulder anymore. And that's how I found out I got an MRI, and that's where it happens. So I have to watch how my bicep feels, and that's how I know if I'm further damaging.
I had some right forearm issues. Insert joke here, but you
gotta switch arms, Frank.
Yeah, it's the drummer in me. It's the drummer in me. No, sure. it was like it really down, but again down at the tendon level, and I worked at that. That's been fine now, but a lot of imbalances.
I'd be curious because the tricky thing is too with a lot of these things like NMN I've taken forever, and I'll run out and I'll wonder why I'm not recovering the way I would. And it's the same for me with the BPC. Like I'm so accustomed to having certain things on board that what you feel in the beginning with a proper dosing protocol becomes your norm, and you don't realize how much it was helping you until you're out for a couple of weeks. And why do I feel like my joints are 10 years older in 1 week? What happened? And you're like, oh, tools X, Y, and Z were not applied.
Yeah. Well, Molly, this was such a wonderful conversation that we jammed in 25 minutes. And before we leave, not only do I just want to, again, plug and just shower my love on Keto Brainz and your support of the show and the contributions you've made to this Jamboree. I mean, so much of what we've already done would not have been nearly as easily achieved if not for your support and meeting all these new. We've met so many great people through you so far, and I really hope we get to meet you in September. I don't know if you've confirmed.
We're planning on it. We're planning on it. I was actually looking to see if I could drive, just because I like driving, but I think I'm not going to drive. So we're working on that now. We are right now. We will be on the road tomorrow to Montana for the final time, and then I can take a breath and plan what's happening.
Well, if you get that shoulder taken care of, you can fly. Just fly. literally, just do that.
I need a little more lat before I can do that.
A little bit more. Well, okay. So, anything you want? I just shared mine, thy mitochondria all over the place. But anything else you want to plug and any parting shots? Go right ahead.
No, I just, your people are amazing. I'm so grateful. Your audience is amazing. Everyone is so kind and wonderful, and continue to reach out if you have questions. I try to get to them right away. If I miss you, I apologize. But I'm usually really quick to respond if you have a question, and just appreciate you guys a lot. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. And everybody, listen, not only ketobrainz.com, which the link is in the description below, that you can contact through the website, but Molly is very responsive and interactive on both Twitter and Instagram. So just follow them, have fun with them, talk, comment. You'll probably strike up a lifelong relationship with Molly at some point. And thank you again.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye,
you
Molly.
too. Nighty night. All right. Well, Jay.
It was great.
Yeah, you know what? And I understand that this is a hulking topic.
Oh my, you have no idea.
I know.
The amount of material I have in front of me and that we need to unpack is overwhelming.
Well, I can't wait to get a little bit more on it, because I also can't wait to get more on the topic of bioregulators, because just the background of that being some sort of Soviet technology unearthed.
Cool, right?
I want to know more about this.
Yeah.
Like what they were figuring out about unlocking the body's regenerative abilities and whatever the hell else. I want to know more about bioregulators. But the peptide thing, I'm interested. Obviously, I'm always just anything that can help Lauren,
Yeah, and remember, we've done a year's other protocol with Lauren before even introducing BPC 157.
To great success, too.
Yeah, and that's why. So knowing that information, that background, understanding what worked and what didn't work, tells us what direction we need to go. So while I don't know if there's necessarily a downside, I'll also say that, the oral BPC is great for anything that's gut related. But there's also, and this is much more of a gray area in terms of what you can get away with, but there's also injectable BPC along with other formulations. That is something that you'd probably have to work with us, with Jen and I, in order to be able to get a hold of that stuff. You're not going to be able to just buy injectables. They're mostly for research purposes, but we find ways to do things, all legal. But
listen to this. Hey, listen to this. I just got obviously we got to wrap up because I got to start my film club. But anybody that's going to show up at film club is watching right now. So so just a second. I got this email that just came in.
Okay.
Frank, I'll just say R because I don't want to say their name. Ozempic caused me to lose my gallbladder. I was on it for about 4 months before I thought I was going to die. I went to the ER and was admitted just to find out it was my gallbladder and they had to take it out. I called the Ozempic lawsuit that was advertised on TV. They told me I was in the wrong year. They were looking for earlier years. I don't know. That's...
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I've seen so many problems with Ozempic, and most of it is, again, maybe they're talking about something that was tainted, but I'm just talking about it's overdosed. It's providing a massive amount of just glucagon-like peptide 1 without paying attention to the other incretins or the system it works in. And so I see a ton of side effects, which is why I have an inherent bias. And Jen, to her credit, always pulls me back from that inherent bias because I have to remember it's a peptide that's being abused. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't hate the peptide for the misuse of it by the doctors and the missing nuance and understanding how it can potentially be beneficial. But again, I'm not talking about Ozempic. I'm talking about these newer peptides that are coming out. So it's a really hard thing for people to understand. I know because I'm starting to fully unravel this in the last couple of months, and it's been really challenging. It's almost all I've been doing. I'm reading all night about this stuff. So once again, something that is mainstream will eventually turn people off from something, or at least an aspect of the situation, of the Ozempic situation, that could have actually been really useful. It's a great point, Frank. A couple of the doctors that I really like and respect think that that's exactly why it's being pushed, and they know it's going to cause the problems, and it's going to cause people to be like, well, all peptides suck. And that couldn't be further from the truth. So
some people out there think that this is a deliberate sabotage of the whole.
Yeah, I'm not one of them. I mean, I'm pretty conspiratorial, but I just think I think in today's day and age, we lose the nuance in a lot of things. And I'm trying desperately to bring the nuance because I don't really see anybody else doing this in an effective way. And I'm not an expert on these things. But what I do see, what I am good at is communicating. And I see people on both sides, the people who hate the GLP-1s and the people who are saying, no, they're useful. Neither side is presenting the argument the way it exists. And I think that's the problem. And so Jen and I are trying to intentionally fill the gap and find the nuance and explain it to people in a way that they can understand. So that you can decide that if a peptide, a GLP-1 or not, is right for you. Not to sound like a commercial, but I think that's really important because it's not the right move for everybody. So.
All right. Well, Haywood just on over there on Rumble says, just once I'd like to hear Jay and her and Molly speak in simple English.
I'm sorry.
Listen, I followed along all right. I wouldn't be able to. I at least get the gist.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy that Molly came from the emotional standpoint of the whole thing.
Yeah,
because I understand. There are people who try their asses off that are motivated, and things aren't working.
And those people deserve every opportunity to correct that problem. And I didn't even get to read some of the stuff that Jen had sent, but next time we'll talk about that. But she talked about GLP-1s and neurobehavioral resets and being able to rewire the reward system of the brain and pair with elevated BDNF and neuroplasticity. Like we're really trying to dig into the things that this can do for people to free them of some of the barriers, the subconscious barriers, that will allow them to step over that threshold and start making the changes. So that is very important, which is why you got to work with somebody who knows what they're doing. Don't go to a doctor and get a GLP-1 because they're going to overdose you. They're going to tell you got to be on it for life, and you're going to have terrible side effects. But it's not the thing itself. Yeah, so
I know.
That's the problem.
A friend of mine lost a lot of weight.
Right.
They used to be a client of mine.
Yeah.
And they just got in touch. I checked in on them just not too long ago. They said, you're gonna hate me, but I did another dose. I'm like, why? You've already lost. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I don't fucking
Yeah,
get it.
then you start to wonder about that whole aspect of it. You get into like the Michael Jackson syndrome. You
I
get
know.
one plastic surgery and then you get 700. And I just don't want to see people go down that rabbit hole. I want to see people change their lifestyle so they can get real lasting results.
Yeah. Just got to be something good that happens to us.
Yeah.
Something. Zoso Dude says I could have sworn. Oh, we already did that. What does Jay think about the pink salt trick? I don't know what that is.
Oh my! Is anybody else seeing that friggin' ad everywhere?
What?
The pink salt trick? I don't even know what it is. I skip the ad. Every Rumble video I watch, now every YouTube video I watch, I'm going to tell you about the pink salt trick. And I'm like, get out of here. That's what, in my mind, for the last 2 weeks at least, that's the only ad I'm seeing on Rumble. And it's driving me crazy. Whoever wrote that super chat, thank you for validating my hysteria.
I don't know what the hell it is.
I think that's what they're referencing. I keep seeing this ad on Rumble.
All right. Well, Delona says now I'll see it. Now I'll see it.
Of course you will.
I took Ozempic. Delona says I took Ozempic because my doctor scared me about becoming pre-diabetic in late 2019. The first side effect that appeared was garbage burps that smelled like rotting food that was left in a dumpster for 3 days in the sun. I also had constant reflux and severe dry mouth. By the time COVID was rolling out in 2020, my sense of smell was messed up so bad I couldn't be around certain foods or people. They smell like mold and mildew burning inside of my nose. I told my doctor that I just couldn't take it anymore. Oh, that was 2019, huh? I feel like I haven't heard. I started hearing about this in 2022.
It slows gastric emptying. That's why you were feeling the terrible burps and smelling the.
She says I mainly eat ketovore now with my keto brains, meat and veggies.
Nice.
Okay, well
done.
I'm happy to hear that. Damn, that's all on pilled.net, which I have some really, really fantastic things to announce about extra programming that is coming. Bonus programming that is coming to pilled.net, which lives cozily at the center of Quite Frankly.tv. Really, really fantastic stuff that's coming your way in August, including a brand new, it's going to be extra innings every night.
We do extra innings anyway, so when I'm on, it's going to be extra innings.
Well, whenever we end at 9 o'clock, we'll end at 9 o'clock on the dot. The end credits will play, and essentially I will click off on everything except pill.net and quitefrankly.tv.
Cool.
And we will just do nothing but just talking directly to the chat room and taking calls and using pilled features and reading gold pills for
fun.
About a half hour or so. And that's going to be we're doing extra innings now over there every night afterwards for people who want a little bit more. And a few other wonderful things, including that's where the Saturday night specials are going to be too. So just making our home a little bit more us, you know?
Yeah.
That's it. That's
great, man.
Yeah. Well, make a little bit more of an investment in truly independent media. So figure it out. All right. Let's see. Thank you so much, Jay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you to Molly, and I hope everybody checks out the Mind My Mitochondria. Mind Thy. I'll put it in the description and everything else.
Let food be thy medicine. Think of it that way.
Mind your mitochondria. Thy, ma, yours. Your, thine.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that website would get no traffic.
It's already dicey.
I know.
Anyway, come out to the Jamboree. I'll see you tomorrow night. We're going to have Mike King from Profiling Evil on the show to talk about his new book and a whole bunch of strange things in the news. We'll definitely have time in the second half for some of your calls. And that's it. As soon as this show wraps up with the end credits, I will see you for our Gangs of New York film club. So have yourself a wonderful night. Jay, find him on Perpetual Health CO on Rumble and Instagram.
Yep. And of course, Jay Gulinello on Twitter. Big thank you, Frank.
Over on Twitter right now, the Twitter stream it has Jay Gulinello linked in there in the title, so you can click through to his Twitter, follow it because he's active over there pretty well.
Yeah.
Okay. Good night, everybody. Have a good one.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Goodbye.
All right, that's it. Thanks, everybody.